As Prime Minister, I will fight back with dollar for dollar retaliatory tariffs, and our retaliation is going to be surgically targeted to create the maximum pressure on the White House to stop what the Wall Street Journal has described quite rightly as the dumbest trade war in history. An example of a measure that I will put in place as Prime Minister is 100% tariffs on Teslas. I think that should get some attention in the White House.
One of the candidates for Prime Minister in Canada, Chrystia Freeland, recently announced possible 100% tariffs on Tesla vehicles as part of the targeted tariff response. This comes just hours after Trump's 25% tariffs on Canadian goods was imposed, and Canada responded in kind. What will this mean for Tesla and the U.S. economy? Stay ahead of the curve with the latest updates on topics like this, and subscribe to our channel for more. Trump's tariffs take effect with ripples.
Mr. President, is there anything China, Canada, and Mexico can do tonight to forestall your implementation of tariffs tomorrow?
No, nothing. Not right now, no.
Not a negotiating tool?
No, it's not. No, it's a pure economic. We have big deficits with, as you know, with all three of them. And in one case, they're sending massive amounts of fentanyl, killing hundreds of thousands of people a year with the fentanyl.
President Donald Trump sent ripples into international trade after placing heavy tariffs on America's three biggest trading partners, which are Canada, Mexico, and China. Canada immediately retaliated with the same tariffs, threatening to keep them in place until the U.S. took a step back. This tit-for-tat tariff has sent financial markets into a tailspin, with the U.S. struggling with rekindled inflation, while the fears of a recession are ahead of Canada. Trump has imposed 25% tariffs on Canadian and Mexican imports and 10% on Canadian energy. In an address to Congress, Trump claimed that these tariffs were to force Canada to step up its security at the border and prevent fentanyl and illegal immigrants from passing through.
So today, the United States launched a trade war against Canada, their closest partner and ally, their closest friend. At the same time, they're talking about working positively with Russia, appeasing Vladimir Putin, a lying, murderous dictator. Make that make sense.
Canadian Prime Minister Justin Trudeau didn't hesitate to respond, plastering 25% tariffs on over 100 billion Canadian dollars of American goods. To escalate matters further, the Premier of Ontario, Canada's largest economy, Doug Ford, has threatened to cut off the energy supply to the U.S., which is part of their retaliatory measures. This will leave 1.5 million Americans in the dark. Meanwhile, U.S. stocks were hit badly after the tariffs were implemented, wiping out nearly all the post-election gains, especially with automobile companies like Ford and General Motors, which crossed the border across Canada, U.S. and Mexico multiple times in vehicle production. Now, U.S. businesses are struggling to deal with the impact of these tariffs, especially those near the Canadian border. Analysts also fear that Trump's tariffs could plunge Canada into a recession, as these tariffs could cause the high costs to be passed on to the consumers. Canada and the U.S. are each other's largest trading partners in the world, with the trade over $3.6 billion per day. Canada refused to take Trump's tariffs lying down, seeing it as an insult to their diplomatic friendship. But some Canadian ministers believe that the retaliatory tariffs are not yet enough. Canadian PM candidates threatens tariffs on Teslas.
And the reality is, you guys need us. We are your largest market by far. The US sells more to Canada than to China, Japan, the UK, and France combined. So we do have leverage. And as Prime Minister, I will use it. And not because I want to. I mean, the irony about this, the stupidity about this is right now we have a balanced and mutually beneficial relationship. There is a win-win here. There is an exit ramp. But Americans need to know that if you hit Canada, we will hit back, and we will be sure that our retaliation hurts.
Canada has already imposed 25% tariffs on 30 billion Canadian dollars of goods and plans to impose another 125 billion Canadian dollars worth of US goods in the next 3 weeks. What's more, Ontario Premier plans to impose a 25% export tax on electricity powering homes in the US and remove American liquor and beer off Canadian shelves. He has also announced that he will end a contract with Starlink, Elon Musk's satellite internet service. Chrystia Freeland, the former Deputy Prime Minister of Canada, has announced that she would prefer more targeted tariffs if she wins the election as Canadian Prime Minister. Rather than general tariffs on American goods, Freeland suggests specific tariffs that will target Trump constituencies. One of these will be a 100% tariff on Teslas.
Ask you though, Chrystia, Elon Musk. You're choosing, obviously you talk about constituents core to the White House, and you mentioned that 100% tariff on Teslas that you would go ahead with if Trump imposes these tariffs. I mean, that's basically an acknowledgement that Elon Musk is he's really in a class of his own. He's the single most important person. I mean, it's literally just economic acknowledgement of that fact.
Yeah, look, you're American, and you guys will have the best judgments about your political system and who's influential and who isn't. But we listen to you, we listen to your reporting, and we will design our retaliation to target the people who we think are the most influential, the people who, if they are feeling pain from our retaliation, will say to the president, let's not do this anymore.
Freeland's plan to impose 100% tariffs on Tesla vehicles seems to be a targeted retaliation aimed at President Trump's allies, one of which is Tesla CEO Elon Musk. Musk has been a prominent supporter of Trump and was appointed the head of the Department of Government Efficiency, DOGE. He has also been an advisor to Trump. Her proposal also includes a 100% tariff on U.S. wine, beer, and spirits. She emphasizes having precise countermeasures against any trade attack from the U.S. Following the tariff announcements, Tesla's stock has experienced declines following the tariff announcements, and the sales of these vehicles have been low lately. Tesla sales been dropping in Canada.
Tesla is raising the prices of its cars in Canada starting on February the 1st. Here's what we know. The price of Tesla's cheapest vehicle, the Model 3, will be going up, wait for this, $9,000, while prices on the Model Y, X, and S will all go up by $4,000. No clear idea yet from Tesla on why exactly they are raising their prices, but the date of that increase, February the 1st, does coincide with when U.S. President Donald Trump has said he could impose widespread tariffs on Canada.
Tesla sales have declined significantly in Canada in the past year alone, about 70% between December 2024 and January 2025. This has been part of a broad trend in Canada lately, with the pause in federal rebates on electric vehicles. The indefinite pause of the federal electric vehicle rebate program has affected many EV manufacturers. Some provinces, including British Columbia and Quebec, have also backed out of these incentives, leading to the increases in retail prices of EVs, including Teslas. Since Trump announced the tariffs on Canada, and Canada replied with its own retaliatory tariffs, many automobile companies have spoken about the impact of these actions on their operations. Trump's tariffs on Canada could push up car prices by as much as $12,200. These tariffs are likely to increase higher costs on different types of vehicles, including electric vehicles. Even worse, some product lines and equipment could become uneconomical for automakers to keep on producing, disrupting the car industry. According to Trump, the only way for automakers to solve this is to build their own plants in the U.S.
Tesla raised its prices in Canada February 1st, which coincided with Trump's original date to impose tariffs, signaling a need to look to other markets.
We've got mineral resources that China wants to work with. They've already got the infrastructure to, make this happen. They're already doing it with other countries around the world. Why can't Canada get involved?
Tesla sources several important components from Canada, but the full extent remains unclear. Canada supplies steel, aluminum, lithium, nickel, and cobalt, which are essential for Tesla batteries. Tesla has supply agreements with different factories in Canada, supplying lithium and nickel. It also operates a battery equipment facility in Ontario and owns Hybar Systems, also based in Ontario. The latest tariffs are expected to affect Tesla's operations in Canada, thereby driving up the prices. Ontario Premier Doug Ford has threatened to halt nickel exports to the U.S., emphasizing Canada's role in Tesla's battery production.
They're going to sell those cars into the United States with no tax at the border. We're going to put a 100% tariff on every single car that comes across the line, and you're not going to be able to sell those cars.
In an ironic twist, the U.S. tariffs are expected to affect Tesla's supply chain, making them less competitive in the Canadian market. Tesla gets a lot of its vehicle components from China, including the materials for lithium-ion batteries like graphite. With the new 25% tariff on Chinese goods, it could increase the costs of these components and then raise Tesla's production costs. To offset the costs, Tesla might have to increase vehicle prices in Canada, thereby affecting demand. What's more, Canada already imposed a 100% tariff on Chinese EVs, and so if they lift or reduce these tariffs, Tesla will face even more competition in the Canadian market. Canada already reached its goal of 10% EV sales 2 years ahead, thanks to incentives and investments in manufacturing and minerals. But now, with the 25% tariffs and the proposed 100% tariff on Canadian vehicles, the $900 billion trade between the two countries is at risk. Canadian officials are proposing a 100% tariff on Tesla vehicles, which would double the price of popular models like the Model Y. But some other analysts say that Tesla won't be badly affected by the 25% tariffs because it mainly focuses on the American market. But there's no doubt that Tesla started raising prices for its models around the same time Trump first announced his 25% tariffs. Canada cancels Starlink contract.
Concerned right now about these tariffs that are about to go into place and could impact their bottom line and their cost of goods. Let me ask you this. You just mentioned Elon Musk. I think everybody in this country is learning a lot about his influence, which is unwieldy and over the top, just to say a few words. You mentioned 100% tariffs on Teslas to hit Elon Musk. He owns a number of other companies. Obviously, there's Starlink. Would you ever consider canceling Canada's contracts with Starlink, for example?
Absolutely. And Canadian premiers have already said that they would do that. I think you made a really...
With the recent tariffs from the U.S. against Canada, one of the retaliatory measures by Doug Ford is the termination of a 100 million Canadian dollar contract with Elon Musk's satellite company, Starlink.
Government-wide procurement ban, we're going one step further. We're ripping up Ontario's contract with Starlink. It's done, it's gone. We won't award contracts to people who enable and encourage economic attacks on our province and our country.
Ford has said that his decision to cancel the contract with Starlink is permanent and won't be reversed, even if the tariff war between Canada and the United States is resolved. The contract was first signed in November 2024 to deliver Starlink satellite internet to the rural areas in Ontario. According to Ford, canceling the contract was to make a blow towards Trump, especially since Elon Musk has an important role in the Trump administration. He even added that the Ontario University that Musk attended should be embarrassed to have him as a former student. Ford said he was canceling the Starlink agreement as a retaliatory measure against the 25% tariffs affecting Canada. Canadians signed petition against Elon Musk,
demanding his citizenship be revoked. Over 280,000 have signed this document against Musk. Now they are asking the outgoing Prime Minister Justin Trudeau to cancel his Canadian citizenship. According to them, Musk's actions are harmful to Canada's interests, and they rather not have someone like that as their fellow citizen.
With the backdrop of the trade war between the US and Canada, Elon Musk has been facing growing opposition in Canada. In Canada, a parliamentary petition urging the government to revoke Musk's Canadian citizenship has gathered over 250,000 signatures. The petition accuses Musk of making actions that are contrary to Canada's national interest, especially his support for Donald Trump, who has threatened Canada's economy and sovereignty. Although Musk was born in South Africa, he got Canadian citizenship through his mother. Musk's initial response to the petition was posted on X saying, "Canada is not a real country." The post was later deleted. The petition also says that the billionaire used his wealth and power to influence Canadian elections and has now become a member of a foreign government that is attempting to erase Canadian sovereignty. So far, hundreds of thousands of Canadians have signed the petition, and it will be open for signatures until June 20th. In Europe, Musk's endorsement of far-right political parties has led to significant backlash against Tesla. His political stances have had tangible impacts on Tesla's performance in Europe. In Germany, Tesla's vehicle registrations dropped by 76% in February compared to the previous year. Similarly, declines were observed in Norway and Denmark, with sales falling by 48%, and in France, Tesla experienced a 26% decrease. It seems like Elon Musk's politics and affiliation to Trump is hurting Tesla in Canada, causing his companies like Tesla and Starlink to be targeted by the tariffs. Canada 100% tariff on China's EVs.
Shortly, we will be introducing a 100% tariff on Chinese-made electric vehicles and a 25% tariff on Chinese steel and aluminum. See, because of our government's choices and the hard work of hundreds of thousands of Canadian auto workers, we are transforming Canada's automotive sector to be a global leader in building the vehicles of tomorrow. But actors like China have chosen to give themselves an unfair advantage in the global marketplace, compromising the security of our critical industries and displacing dedicated Canadian autos and metal workers.
In August 2024, Canada announced a 100% tariff on imports of Chinese-made electric vehicles, EVs, effective October 1st, 2024. This decision was similar to the measures by the United States and the European Union to fight against Chinese manufacturers who they claim have an unfair advantage in the global market. The tariff increased the cost of Chinese EVs in Canada, reducing their competitiveness and also discouraging imports. This move was meant to protect domestic manufacturers and encourage consumers to consider locally produced EVs. Tesla had also been importing its vehicles from the Shanghai Gigafactory to Canada, but it faced challenges due to the tariff. The company had to reconsider its supply chain strategies, increasing imports from its US or German factories to lessen the impact of the tariff. China also criticized this decision, saying that it is trade protectionism and a violation of World Trade Organization rules. The Chinese government has said that they were highly dissatisfied with Canada and the United States for their decisions to block their EVs. With Canada's previous implementation of a 100% tariff on Chinese EVs, the infrastructure and legal framework are now implemented to impose similar measures on Tesla vehicles. If Freeland's proposal is adopted, the tariff could be enacted swiftly and eventually double the cost of Tesla vehicles in Canada, leading to a sharp decline in sales. If Canada imposes these tariffs, it could also escalate the trade tensions between Canada and the United States, leading to tit-for-tat measures. It could impact various sectors way beyond the automotive industry. US-Canada tariff war could affect automobiles.
Flavio Volpe is with Canada's Automotive Parts Manufacturers Association. His members, he says, work on slim margins. For many, a 5% tariff would wipe out profits, 10% would start putting companies out of business, 25% would mean there's no reason to.
The recent escalation of tariff tensions between the United States and Canada threatens to impact the North American automotive industry. The U.S. administration's imposition of a 25% tariff on imports from Canada and Mexico has raised a lot of concerns among automakers about increased production costs.
It is so integrated between this country and our neighbors to the south that before a vehicle is assembled, the parts are estimated to have crossed the border up to 8 times. But it's not.
The North American automotive industry operates on a deeply interconnected supply chain. In fact, vehicle components often cross the borders multiple times before final assembly. This delicate balance is now being disrupted by the newly imposed tariffs, increasing the costs of importing the vehicle components of the finished products. analysts predict that these tariffs could lead to price increases up to $12,000 per vehicle, depending on the extent of its reliance on cross-border components. The surge in prices will eventually dampen consumer demand. Automakers such as Ford and General Motors have expressed concerns that the tariffs could affect their profit and production schedules. Although Elon Musk's Tesla did not make any statements concerning the tariffs, there's no doubt that it would hinder the adoption of electric vehicles, as Tesla also relies on a complex network of suppliers across North America. So Canada announcing 100% tariffs on Teslas does not seem far off, especially with how bad the impact of America's trade measures will be.
How quickly will we see an impact from what's unfolding right now?
Well, I think it is different. Obviously, I think the trade war is upon us. The economic warfare from the Trump administration is here and will hit us on Tuesday.
America's tariffs against Canada have far-reaching consequences, and with Canada's retaliatory measures, it seems like the North American trade will change. These measures are especially affecting automobiles. Now, Canada has decided to target sectors that would strongly affect Trump, one of which is Tesla. How bad will 100% tariffs on Tesla be? Let us know your thoughts in the comments.